Welcome back to another live broadcast of the Johnnie Torch Show. News Roundup number 64 today. It's going to be a great addition to our live show as broadcast segments scripted, but we're doing them live now, and for a good reason, because I just got a new laptop, in case you didn't see last week's episode. Problems getting a new software for movies and stuff. So I'm going to have to probably do live shows for the time being. I don't know how the broadcast sounds. I listened to last week's broadcast, our inaugural broadcast on this new laptop. Not that great. So I don't know if fine-tuning needs to be done, because originally when I used my old laptop for broadcasting, it didn't sound that great either for live shows, but I don't know. It's like trial and error. See what works and what doesn't. So I guess I'm starting the show with channel updates, but I think I'm going to get any more classic horror reviews out. Certainly not in time for Halloween. I've got, as I said, a Hunchback of Notre Dame one recorded. Died before I had a chance to do anything about it. Probably it'll take some time before I can browse over to this one. Doesn't look like it's going to happen anytime soon. I like to try to get 4 horror videos out. So far, we only got 2. So if you haven't seen those 2, your Halloween gift from me this year. And not so sure about do any after Halloween, because like I said, I have to find some new software and adapt it. I was live Movie Maker for the past couple of for some reason I can't seem to download that. I think that's like old tech now. Switching me over to Filmora, which I don't know what that is, so that's why I haven't downloaded it yet, but I'll do some research, see what's going on. So there is your channel update. If of videos is a little bit low, that might be it. A scripted review of Thor Ragnarok when it comes out in a couple of weeks. A little over a week now, I think. As it stands now, it might be just live shows for the foreseeable future. So thank you. I'm more or less on time tonight. I said 8 o'clock, and here we are a couple of minutes before 8 time. Live. I've got the chat room open. I hope I'll be able to pay attention to it. As I said, sometimes I are programming and don't keep an eye on the chat as well as I should. We got a lot of stuff to cover today, a lot of stuff. We're doing a Torch News Roundup as well as This Week in Comic Book Television. Happy Halloween, one and all. This is probably my Halloween show, seeing as how I get a show on Monday done. But we'll see. I've had a busy month. And we're going to start the show here with Halloweenish about the show, by the way, in case you're expecting there to be some, have done some kind of top 10 list or something on horror movies or something, but we had too much to do this, so that if I can do it some other time, maybe then. All right, first off, we're going to talk about my excursion over into my publishing career. MICE Expo was held 1 week ago from today. Yours truly was a guest and an exhibitor, as they say, and I just wanted to take a few minutes to talk about it. It was a great experience. I loved it. I want to thank all the folks down there at MICE Expo for inviting me to exhibit this year. They were all very professional and very helpful. Every moment for any problems or issues that you needed taken care of. Of course, there wasn't any real issues. They ran the show very well. Met a lot of cool people there, of course. I got some of their names here. I got some of their cards. Just give a shout out to them if they're listening, which they probably aren't. But table mate to the right of me was Mr. Ryan Valentine. Composes Poetry Comics with an X out on his website, where he does a lot of poetry and poems and stuff set to his artwork, which was very good. On the table, on my table to his right, Um, Catalina Rufin, very talented artist and writer. She has here from her card, Fairy Warriors, Tumblr.com. To my left, the lovely and talented Mia Dutton, who called a Tarot Tournament, which looked very interesting, and I like this art style. It's very nice. Let's see. I also met Mr. Dirk Tide, Tide.com, very talented guy, very nice guy to talk to. I enjoyed table, and I checked out his website too. It's very helpful for those who are just getting into the business and like me, still. So check out Dirk Tide. I also met from Lunch Comics, comics with an X. This is Kagan Luce. I hope I'm pronouncing his name right, but he was very nice, and with him as well. So once again, all the folks there were very nice and very talented. You should check them out if you can find them. Some cards here from, let's see, that's EPHITV and Tommy Toy Travels. These guys did some YouTube interviews with me. TV one, I don't believe has come out, or at least he hasn't. It has, but Tommy Toy Travels tweeted me his interview with me, which was hilarious, by the way. Very much for including me in his. You can check him out on his YouTube station. I imagine it's the same as the .com is what it says on the card he gave me, but I imagine the same holds for YouTube. I'm not going to make it easy for you. You got to find it because it's my first on-air appearance. All right, you want to see what I look like? You got to check it out. Travels. All right, so I want to thank those guys for including me in their interview segment. It was really funny. Had a lot of fun. Had a lot of fun this whole time, and it's just such a milestone in my career as a cartoonist. I don't talk enough about being a cartoonist on this show. One of those things where it's hard to toot your own horn and try to sell something that's so passionate to you and so personal to you. The Adventures of Bull Suburban Comics, that's my baby. I've been working on it since I was years old. And, it means a lot to me now that I'm able to public, get it in front of people. I did very well. I sold a lot, especially Sunday comics. Bought one issue of each, one of each issue. And, I gave her a free T-shirt, which, by the way, if you want to comic, the link is in the description below. And you can order them off of Indie Planet. I was selling hard copies at the MICE Expo, but you can also get them digitally, and you can get them for a fraction of the price. 9 cents for issues 2, 3, and 4. And the first issue is $1.49 because it's a complete story, and it's a little more expensive because you get the full experience in one story. Issues you have to get, to follow the story. So, it was just a great experience. I feel very blessed. This wonderful gift that he's given me of creating my own comics, being a storyteller, draw the artwork, and just making the whole package. It's all glory be to God. And I feel very privileged and very thankful right now. And I'm so thankful to God. And I'm so thankful that I'm able to have this platform, both on YouTube and both MICE Expo, that they gave me that opportunity. And credit to him. Okay, so this is our Halloween show, not our Thanksgiving show, but it sounds like that's the way we started off. But now to the, let's see, we're going to start with the Torch News Roundup, and then we're going to go on to television. All right, first order of business, though, before we get to that, okay. Alrighty, let's see. It's all right. It's only going to take a moment. Issue these images I loaded for it's for some reason they're not showing up unless I also just give me a second. Last week it was murder. I had to edit like about 7 minutes out because there was so much that was edited. But yeah, we're all set here. But we're going to do, before we carry on, Johnny's NFL football picks of the week. Love it. I'm sure you do. You can't get enough of that NFL. Well, we're gonna forego the rant about the. We'll just get straight to the games. All right, big week 8 in the NFL. Let's see. We've got a bunch of teams have the bye week this week. The Cardinals, Titans, Jaguars, Giants, and Rams. All right, I took the Dolphins this week, and they were decimated by the Ravens in the books. But it's always comforting we can get the rest of the picks in before we played. By the way, last week my score was 12-3, which was very good for me all season. It's one of my better scores. Standings are at 63 wins and 43 losses. Not doing too bad, going way above the Mendoza line now. Vikings over the Browns. I'm going with the Raiders over the Bills. Over the Colts. I'm going with the Patriots over the Chargers, although the Chargers have been looking a bit more impressive lately. Crawled out from, what was it, an 0-3 deficit now to winning about 3 in a row. You know, I don't think the Patriots are going to lose to them. I'm taking the Saints over the Bears. Again, the Bears are another team that are crawling back up out of the ranks. Over the Jets. The Eagles over the 49ers. Oh, the 49ers are just as bad as the Browns. Oh, the Browns-Vikings game, by the way, is taking place in London. A lot of games in London this season. Do we really still have a grudge against the Brits that bad that we're going to send them the Browns? I mean, come on. Do we hate them that much? The Stamp Act is over, people. That was over 200 or 300 years ago now. I'm taking the Panthers over the Buccaneers. I'm taking the Seahawks over the Texans. Redskins, although that's a close one. You know, that probably can go either way. Over the Lions, and I'm taking the Chiefs over the Broncos. Chiefs lost a couple, but the Broncos looking so hot either. They're losing games, and all right, so that's it for another edition. Johnny's NFL football picks of the week. On to the Torch News Roundup number 64. Okay. Will you still need me? Will you still feed me when I'm 64? To quote the great Paul McCartney. But the breaking news of the day, yesterday, this news broke, and it's pretty exciting. Zachary Levi. Oh, it's Levi, right? Levi? Okay. Zachary Levi is now cast as Shazam, David Sandberg's upcoming Shazam movie for. My initial thought, my first reaction was, huh? No, Shazam, formerly known as Captain Marvel. Let's get that out of the way. Yes, Captain Marvel, but then the lawsuits and all things or whatever. Shazam is what he's called now. Didn't bother me because as a kid, I always called him Shazam. Captainish about him. I didn't understand why he was called Marvel if he belonged to DC. As a kid anyway, so this really makes no difference to me. But yeah, well, we'll get that out of the way. Marvel, now Shazam. Which I still understand. No name. Otherwise, he'll change back, you know. Oh, I'm, you know, starts with an S. I don't know. I don't know how that works now in the comics. I haven't read the comics yet. Change of name, but Zachary Levi, I like him a lot. I watched Chuck, like most everybody else remembers him from that. Oh, he's a real endearing, likable guy. I really wanted to see him do good in the world of superheroes because I know he's a big fanboy, on these kind of things. And I wanted him to get a good superhero character, and Shazam is about as good as it gets. I mean, you got a classic character right there with the powers of Superman and stuff. It's like I think everybody's only concern is maybe he's not buff enough to really fit the costume. Um, I don't know. I mean, I haven't seen him lately. Maybe he's working out. That concerned about, but I mean, if there's anything to be concerned about, it might be that he might not look as buff as we imagine Shazam to look. But between costume padding and him bulking up, which I'm sure he is. I mean, look at Chris Pratt. I mean, Chris Pratt is really kind of to be politically correct as possible, a little soft in the middle when he first came out, and now look at him. I mean, you put a fitness trainer on anybody, and they're going to look like Adonis. So, but yeah, a great actor, a great guy, a funny comedian. I'm sure he'll bring a lighter touch to the role. I guess that they might take this one a little too humorously, because the concept of like a 10-year-old kid turning into a man, that's sort of like big crossed with something. It's something that could be very easily a spoof type thing. And I mean, I'm not saying that because Levy is in it that it's going to become a spoof, but they're going to play it straight and not treat this like some kind of a lampooning of superhero genre. Of course, was sort of in that genre, and he also played a Fandral Dark World, taking over for I don't know what's his face from the first movie. I liked him as Fandral. He did Finn Rider, and he does all these genre things. He was also in Alvin and the Chipmunks. So I mean, it's nice to see a quote fanboy doing good in the industry. Some people don't like that term fanboy. That's but I mean it in the nicest possible way, of course. So yeah, I'm all for it, and I hope it's going to be a good one. I don't know. From last I heard, that of course Dwayne the Rock Johnson has been cast as Black Adam. Of course, that's perfect casting as well. I don't know if The Rock is going to be in the Shazam movie. From what I heard, they're doing a prequel with The Rock as Black Adam, and they're going to, I don't know, make him part of a Justice League movie, like as a villain. I don't know. I just hope that they really in the Shazam movie and just make it, because you start fooling around like that. I mean, the Green Lantern movie taught us, don't save the big guns for too long. I mean, they gave us Hector Hammond, for crying out loud, and we had one of the best representations of Sinestro we'll probably ever have in the movies, and they just didn't use him. And he was just at the very end that, still breaks my heart. But that's what it is. Don't save all your basket. Put a few in today's basket. And if you ask me, be the villain in the Shazam movie. And no casting yet, I guess, for Billy Batson, because from what I remember, I think Sandberg said they are going to use or they didn't say a child actor, but I imagine a young actor for. I think it's going to be shaping up to be a pretty good movie here. I'm looking forward to it. Looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I don't know when that's coming out. I didn't find that out in my information there, but yeah, looking forward to Zachary Levi Shazam motion picture. Shazam. Okay, let us move on now. We're going to talk a little bit briefly about our Punisher trailer 2 came out last week, about a week ago. The picture is actually from that trailer. That picture looks like it's from Daredevil, but fast. So anyhow, the trailer starts with Frank in the army hitting a superior and saying what we did was wrong. It looks like they're setting up quite obviously that the military is the villains in this. That traditionally it was always the mob that killed his family and sent Frank on this one-man crusade to punish the guilty. One of his colleagues says, and I thought this was pretty cool, the only one you're punishing is yourself. Uh-huh, yeah, yeah. You like that? I like that kind of stuff. Might be corny to other people, but I like that. His family looks like they're killed on a merry-go-round, which pretty much, solidifies my take that when you see his wife get shot in bed, that was just a nightmare. Comic version, which was, they were at a carnival or something. I don't remember. I remember the animated series, Spider-Man, the animated series, they were at a picnic or something. But, they were having a day out before they were killed. Authentic to that, but I don't understand why they're making the army the villains, the military the villains, because John Barenthal seems to have always saying how he's trying to do right by the soldiers, the guys that really put themselves on the line for us. Now we're saying the military is the bad guys. They're going to have to kind of try to explain that pretty much. They're being cynical that, yeah, we can't trust any of our, people in power. But, and this is a comic book world where the police are supposed to be the good guys unless you're in Gotham City, which we'll talk about Gotham a little bit later, but let's not get off the beaten path. You see his buddy there, and I don't remember what his buddy's name is. Am I thinking of Blade? Because I know Blade had Chris Christopherson or something, and just sort of operated out of the van and just ends at the ready and stuff like that. So I don't remember what this guy's name is, but he says the same thing happened to you happened to me. To grind against these military operatives. Guys after him. This woman, I guess, is the chief FBI investigator that's going after him, and he's like carrying her over his shoulder, and she's all bloodied and stuff. I don't know. She's probably not dead because that's kind of like a big giveaway if that's in the trailer. So that's interesting. Karen Page, the lovely Deborah Ann Wall trailer. She looks cool. I like seeing her in this. I like it that we don't have to see the secondary characters only appear show. Like, for instance, Daredevil is her show, and she's appeared in Defenders, of course, but this is like completely unrelated to Daredevil, other than, of course, Punisher was introduced in that show, but like we're going to see Daredevil show up in this show. I don't think. Romance? I don't know. I don't think Frank is the kind of guy that gets romantic. So romance might be the wrong word. Something going on between them two, a little something. I don't know. Kind of looked like it in the trailer, the way he was kind of cradling her head or something. I don't know. I just got this something between them more than just and chums and companions. But I always wanted to see Karen with kind of have Elektra, and they putting him with Elektra. I guess I forget. Did Elektra die in Defenders? It's been like what, a month since that show was on. I already forgot it. The biggest takeaway from that was I was happy to see Luke Cage and I think there's some word that they're gonna turn it into Heroes for Hire. How do you call it Luke Cage and then turn it to Heroes for Hire? Either it's like both of them or Joe guest. It's not going to be Iron Fist guest starring Luke Cage as, and vice versa. It's got to be just Heroes for Hire. Again, I digress. Or if we did, I think we've seen the actor briefly in one scene, but he didn't have the jigsawed face, so this is obviously going to be an origin type thing. His face get hacked up. Lots of gunplay, lots of action, lots of blood. Looks fun, but I'm kind of queasy on the blood. I mean, really in Daredevil, but in season 2 with Punisher doing this thing, is going to be ratcheted up to not 11, 12, maybe 13. So be for me, how I've always saying I'm not really a violence guy. I don't watch bloody stuff and gory stuff. Didn't see Logan for that reason, which I comes on pay TV or something. But okay, so last thing I have to point out is that we see Frank in like a mask, like a ski mask, black half the time. So I'm kind of worried. We do see him with the Punisher shirt, the Punisher logo. I'm getting the feeling though that because we see him so much with the mask and just black clothing that we're not going to really see him Punisher jersey until like the end of the movie or the end of the episodes. I mean, the last 2 episodes, whatever. Always bothers me. I want to see him in the costume, such as it is. It's not really a costume, but you know what I mean. Throughout the whole show, and I don't know if we're going to get that. We didn't really get that one in any of the Netflix shows, which is why I still am not crazy about Netflix treatment of these characters. I still wish we would have gotten a whole film franchise. Still disappointed that that didn't happen. With Charlie Cox playing Daredevil in the movies, he could do it. I mean, just because he was a lesser known actor, a great actor that fills that role, he should have got a film. The Netflix Punisher will be out November 17th. They're finally releasing the date of its flicks. So, yeah, that's of course that leads us to our next. And I'm looking forward to the Punisher. I'm probably going to watch it, even though I'm not really a blood and guts guy. Tune in, and the release date November 17th. That leads us to a nice segue here. Our next story. Let's see. We've got Justice League news. Oh, wait a minute. Let's see here. Alrighty. Yeah, November 17th is also when the Justice League, and a lot of people are saying, well, the controversy is that trying to stick it to Justice League, trying to stick it to DC, Warner Brothers, because they're putting them both out they're coming out at the same time as Justice League. I really can't see that being a problem. I mean, the people that have washed their hands of when Justice League are not going to suddenly, let's see Justice League. Oh, Punisher's on. Oh, I can't do it. I got to see Punisher instead. Oh, everybody that's going to go to see Justice League is going to go and see Justice League. People that want to see the Punisher going to see Justice League first, then go home and binge Punisher later or before they see Justice League. But I don't think it's going to really dent the box office of Justice League in the first week. So the real story here about Justice League is we got the runtime, the Justice League runtime. For most outlets that I've seen, it says 121 minutes. I've also heard 119 minutes, but for all intents and purposes, let's say it's 2 hours. Justice League film is going to be 2 hours, and so begs the question: is that too much? Is that enough? Is that not enough? What's the deal? Because we have the origins of Aquaman, Cyborg, the Flash, plus Steppenwolf, dealing with Atlantis, dealing with Paradise Island. Return, of course, we all know he's going to return. Is this kind of a problem? Is this going to be too short? And the reason why I'm not too concerned is because, put simply, Batman v Superman was like 2.5. It was like 2 hours and 24 minutes, something like that. I don't know for sure. Over 2 hours as well. Both films felt like they needed a. And I think if Joss Whedon is strong in any area, maker, he's a judicious editor. Now, if you look at the Avengers, heaven knows not the second movie, but the first movie, pretty much, if you've seen the deleted scenes, he took out everything that Raimi said and didn't need to be shown and didn't need to be said. Although, to be honest with you, I always with Steve looking at the dossier of I think that was needed. But anyway, he's a judicious editor. He's Zack Snyder did with the Flights of Fancy and taking his sweet time and grousing over the superhero's place in the world. That direction anyway, that the more lighthearted feel, even under Zack Snyder. So I can only imagine that this stuff. He's not going to just let this thing drag on. And will it be enough time? Leave them wanting more than to overstay your welcome. So, if anything, erring on the side of making it a faster experience. But I will say, though, that if this is as loaded with action as I think it seems to be loaded with action, there's the quiet moments. You do want to make sure there's time for everybody to breathe. Moments. So, it is out until we actually see the film, but I do think that it probably will best serve the movie to keep it simple. This is the Justice League. It's probably the same as Avengers. Like I said, I don't remember the Avengers runtime, but I think he just about 2 hours. I think that's pretty much the same that we've got here. So I'm not concerned. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Justice League. Okay. We're not too far away. Okay. On to our This Week in Comic Book Television segment. And as I just mentioned, although because it's taking so long, and I don't have the image of John Diggle in costume, so picture of Ollie still as the Green Arrow. But we're going to talk about Arrow first. Let's see. John is the Arrow. Last week, he passed the mantle over to Diggle to spend more time with William and home dad. So really like when that kind of stuff happens. I mean, the Flash was smart enough to put Wally in the costume for like 5 minutes, not like one scene. This obviously they're going to carry on with this for a couple of episodes. And I got nothing against Diggle. I've liked that character from season 1. Spartan. He's not Green Arrow. They're kind of gonna. I hope they don't drag this out, but they're kind of they were trying to find like a way for Diggle to get his groove going as the episode, and so I kind of had the feeling that they weren't going to just do it as a one and done. And calling Diggle out, and I appreciated that. He was no nonsense about the whole thing, Renee. Even though stalwart character, when he's like screwing up, they're not just gonna like overlook it. About the relationship between John and Dinah, it seems like they're setting them up to be this serial / love interest almost. I don't know. It's a very strange relationship they have because they don't know each other well enough for her to be on his case the way she is always constantly on his case. Something like maybe from Felicity, although I think maybe, the thing is, Felicity is too close to him. Felicity were to approach Diggle in the same manner and say, look, you're screwing up and you're a danger and this and that, a lot different than the way Dinah treats him. But, I still think that relationship, she sort of like just steps in and sort of becomes sort of I don't know how to describe it. And like I said, they seem to like be undercurrents of maybe it's brewing there, one of those type things, which I don't think they'll do because obviously he's a married man, and I certainly hope they don't go there. But anyway, to look at some of my notes here, we've got the Crazy Harry guy was caught. Crazy Harry likes electricity. I'm so glad that he didn't get killed, and hopefully they bring him back and just like I mean, like I said, just be a throwaway villain, like, you know, Walker or something in Spider-Man. He just comes in the beginning of the episode, blows crap up, and then he gets carted away to some kind of asylum or something. I just thought he was cool. I don't know. He didn't get much to do in this episode, but I thought it was cool last episode. Just wanted to mention the team logo. That's interesting, the way that the new logo is, where it's more of like a team, a logo. It's a team logo now, almost like Legends of Tomorrow. So let's go over to the William subplot. Still, we've got like Felicity bonding with William, inheriting William. I think it's like Samantha was killed to make room for her. Bothers me. I mean, it just seems to come off that way. It's like now they're going to be a happy family. It's a son that's sort of like her, and they both are like kindred spirits on math and stuff, and feels like, well, we wanted to have a kid between them, but we didn't want to sideline Felicity being pregnant, and we didn't want her raising a baby while there's all kinds of stuff going on. So, because we just killed off the mom because, who needs her? She was just some kind of, whatever. I kind of get that feeling, and it's sad because if that's the way this turns out, it's going to be kind of marred by that, I think. Strange anyway, though, because wouldn't William have the hots for Felicity? I mean, I don't think he knows yet that Ollie's had a thing with her and that he's have a thing with her, judging by the end of the show. I mean, he's at that age, William. So that could be very awkward. And I'm just saying. Is it awkward? Is it awkward for me also to say that really hot this episode? And I can say that, but Dinah was especially hot this episode. She looks great. Everybody last week I was saying looked so great, but I didn't mention Dinah, but this week made up for it, I think. Okay, we still have the FBI agent Watson, but it could be interesting. I don't know. Like I said, it feels like the problem I always have with Arrow is they feel like they go back to the well too many times. Complain about that with any other show. We're going back to another speedster on the Flash, and we're going back. I don't really feel like anything's repetitive on any of the CW shows. We want to talk about the Marvel shows too. With Arrow, I always feel like they're going back to the same stuff. We already had the Ollie outed thing. We already had the Ollie wants to give up the mantle. We already had the he's gonna try for a domestic bliss with. Already had Diggle being de facto team leader. We had all this stuff before. Last season was sort of like also an exercise in we had it before. I feel like I want to move on to something a little more, I don't know, original, I guess. But that's the only thing I seem to have a problem with Arrow that kind of brings it down for me. Also, Thea is still out, she's mentioned, but she's going to be in this season-long coma until probably and then she'll still probably not suit up. I feel so bad for Willa Holland on this show. I mean, I enjoy her, but they really don't have anything for her to do anymore, and they're just like without killing her off. I think they've always had the problem what to do with her. That's why they sent her to with Malcolm in the second season. Or was that the third season? I don't know. It's just to do with her. It's just sad. All right. The villain was Onyx, weapon that was like blinding everybody and stuff. I don't know the character if she was in the comics or not. It wasn't bad. The action was always was great. The action scene on, around, and in the car, Onyx, that was just amazing. They spare no expense when it comes to the action. I mean, they just out of those scenes. I always say they put the Netflix shows to shame because they do so well with that choreography, those action scenes. They're just so great. And I don't really want Ollie out of the hood for long, but at least they didn't downgrade Diggle by making him look like an ineffective leader. That because he even said, I've been I've never been, gun shy and the yips, so to speak. but he obviously did here. And they got Diggle on the juice. That's what's kind of taking him out of this nerve damage or something. I don't know where that's going to lead. Probably through type thing. I think it's probably going to have some side effect that's going to be unwanted for the team. And, I don't know. I'm going to give it stars out of 5. I'm giving Arrow this week 3.5 stars out of 5. Middle of the road. Again, I'm still I'm wanting to see Oliver back in the hood. Well, we shall see. Next up, let's see. We have. Let's do. Oh yes, the Flash. Flash was my favorite episode of the week. I gotta just come right out and say it right now. Flash gets episode of the week. Very funny episode. It was, very funny and humorous all through. Laser tag scenes. That was so funny. And the they were playing laser tag. That was so funny. That was great. Back. I'm not sure why. I guess Jesse threw him out. Jesse Quick. That there's no Jesse. I was hoping she'd be the show. Not that we really need another speedster, because as it is, Wally is pretty much it is. I mean, we don't really need him on the show, and I think that was their reason for taking him out. They sort of showed him the door, which again, I like him as a reoccurring character or doing something with him, but the past few episodes have shown anything to show that he's ineffective. Like tossed like a rag doll last week, and I didn't even really get into that, but it was completely on whole episode. And you get two speedsters, necessary, and so that's why 3 is definitely unnecessary with Jesse Quick. But she made like this cameo. I like Jesse. I'm disappointed, but she broke up with Wally. Not entirely unexpected, although she was the one so gung-ho about the relationship, if I remember correctly, last season. Interesting to see she's the one that's breaking it off. I gotta say, I was saying last week that Cisco's hair was so nice here because Harry's hair just looked great. Gosh, I wish I had hair like that. All right, the villain here that we've got a picture of up here was Hazard. Harley-esque villain to me anyway. I kind of thought they were trying to Harley Quinn type character. She got the fine squeaky voice, and she's wearing the crazy fishnet outfit with and the basically no respect from anyone. It seemed a lot like they were trying to do their version of Harley. I enjoyed her. For a scene where they had Luck be a lady playing, I love it when they play great music on these shows because it's very rare. To be honest, they do like the most. And to me, Frank Sinatra was the beginning and end of. So yeah, Harry's gonna stay for a while. It seems on the team, which is good because I like him. I mean, there was sort of this thing where are we gonna have Harrison Wells every season? Go with that. I don't know how long that would last without feeling like, all right, we've got the the pygmy cross-dressing one-armed 317. I don't know. I don't know where you could go with that, but it's just interesting. I don't know. It was probably for the best that they just go back to the Harry that I think was the most popular second season Harry. All right, so we've got 12 metas on a bus. 12 metas walk onto a bus, and it sounds like a joke. But yeah, the Thinker is behind them, I guess. He gave them all their powers. Now it's 2 down and 10 to go. Last week's Kilgore and this week's Hazard. Yeah, I liked Hazard. She wasn't really a villain so much as just like she's taking advantage of the powers that she got to, better herself, benefit herself above everybody else. So that was interesting. And I liked the lighthearted tone throughout the whole episode. I mean, the Flash falling down on marbles. that's like straight out of the '90s show. That's just great. I was happy with all of it. And at the very end, it looks like Joe's going to be a father again. I'm not totally surprised they're going there because there's really not too much for Joe to do anymore. That's why they're sticking him with Cecile, because I think just having him be the team's Papa Bear ain't like working out too much anymore. You don't get like too many scenes with him and Barry like we did in the first season, and I think some of the second. But it's sort of like, we can't go there anymore, and we got to give Joe something else to do, and that's kind of why they're just putting him off Cecile. But, it might be an interesting story, then we'll see. And I've got to point out next week the exciting origin of the Elongated Man. Oh boy, I can't wait to see that. I've been looking forward to Elongated Man since they dropped his name in the first season. Ralph Dibny. This guy looks just like him. I think it's going to be great. And hopefully they'll have the budget to do his powers justice. I'm really hoping for that. All right, so for The Flash, I'm going to give The Flash episode of the week and 5 stars out of 5. That's 5 stars out of 5. All right, next up, we're going to go to the show that usually wins. Show it all this week, but I like Flash a little bit better. But Legends of Tomorrow this week. All right, so it looks like Gary is going to be a recurring character. We had Gary back again. He was like their goofball, sort of like the watching over them for the Time Bureau. I don't know how many people watched The Human Target, but he had like a goofy friend that had in a couple episodes in the second season. Funny. So the villain in this episode was the Vixen villain, I think, that was supposed to be touted as a recurring villain this year. She's a water-based villain, and I think the implication is that she's related to Vixen as well as, I suppose, her whole family line. We got the introduction of Isis, the character Isis, in case you don't know. She doesn't wear a costume at all in this, and I don't know. I hope they're going to bring her into a costume or something. Her name is Zari, I think. They said she was a fugitive because religion is outlawed in 2042 and she's a Muslim. But I can just about believe it, because at the rate this world is going, probably by the year 2042. But they didn't make it very heavy-handed, because that was sort of a concern. Because when you see over on Supergirl, and we're going to get to that soon, that one, but didn't really want it to be like a big in-your-face thing that she's a Muslim and being persecuted and this and that or whatever. But time and place for things, and as long as you're not heavy-handed, it's fine. And sure, going forward with her character, they'll be able to treat her, with respect, but not force it into the story all the time that she's a Muslim. I don't know how that goes. Ray's disguise was hilarious. That was very funny. Nate tripping on the Wave Rider, that was probably the funniest segment of this thing. I don't know what it was that he was on. That was it was really funny. I mean, like the bargain basement, Chris Pratt. And I swear, I think he's just as valuable as Chris Pratt. I mean, he's so funny, and he just does a great job on this show. We had Vixen having her problems. She was sleepwalking and having with her, she got in touch with her in the dream state there. And, it was just a sort of like, not really a filler episode, but sort of a filler episode, I suppose, because except, Isis is revealed. Give this one 4 stars out of 5. That's 4 stars out of 5 for Legends of Tomorrow. Not a whole lot to, but it was pretty fun. That's what I liked about it. All right. Also, want to mention quickly before we get to the next show that so we're not doing Riverdale today. We're not doing MacGyver because I'm still behind on MacGyver. Just watch 2 or 3 of those episodes in a row when I have time, and just give my thoughts on like the 3 episodes in a row or something, and not like a episode by episode. And this was a very Martian Manhunter centric episode where MM goes back to Mars to people actually to help the white Martians. He's not really even helping his people, but pretty much has a cameo here. Requests his help because they need this. I don't even remember, but his dad is captured by the white Martians, and of course, his dad, as pictured right here, is played by Carl Lumbly, who is Martian Manhunter in the animated series of Justice League. Great to see him come back and actually look like he's playing the father of the Green Martian, John Jones, but he got to like actually action Martian Manhunter, which was really cool. All the Martians shapeshift into humans, which is savor. I mean, in a sense, I get disappointed when we can't just see Jean and the Martians constantly budget, and you can't have it all on a TV budget. So I understand. I liked his character, Jean's dad. I liked hearing some of the Martian lore. He's telling about how the White Martians came about and the Green Martians and everything. When he finally accepts Jean as his son again, knowing that it's really him. And both those actors really great, really sold it. Of course, we don't mention him that much. Like I said, this season, I think he's kind of come into his own. Dodgy in the first season, by necessity. And in the second season, there was really no story arc, I don't think, for him. Well, there was the Miss Martian storyline, but again, he was prejudiced against the white Martians and stuff, and it really didn't to them. Supergirl herself doesn't have much to do here, but Martian Manhunter's dad, she has some funny business at the end there when she's in just car. That was pretty cool. The end was pretty cool. Looks like Jean's dad might stick around from the end of this episode. For a Martian Manhunter-centric episode, because he deserves one every once in a while, but Supergirl kind of got here. And again, way too much focus on Maggie and Alex. We'll get to that now. And they're making the Alex and Maggie subplot the all-important show. And like I said, it's not that interesting. The Nate and Amaya stuff is a lot more interesting than this. Two are not even the leads. And then, you might want to say it's an ensemble cast, but supporting characters, they're not supposed to be taking up this much time every week for the full duration of the subplot at the expense of all the other secondary characters. There's never any, interaction for Wynn and Jimmy and, all of them. Really is nothing going on with them because they're pushing so much of this because this romance supposedly going to break up pretty soon. I guess they want to get it all over with in the beginning of the season, which be over with soon. I can't take the pain much longer. Helen Slater is back as their Supergirl's adoptive mother. Maggie's dad comes back. He's the one that threw her out because she was gay back in. That is curious to me. Now, she was, 14 years old when she was thrown out by her dad for being gay. Say Maggie is in her mid to late 20s because that's what she looks like. I would say she's like 26, 27 years old or something. Okay. Let's say that was years ago. 15 years ago is like, it's not like the 1920s. She didn't come out like in the 1920s where maybe would have that reaction. I can't see many folks abandoning their gay kids in 2002. And they just like are coming up with this huge like sob story as if probably would happen nowadays in the last 15 to 20 years. I don't see that happening. heavy-handed. And then, of course, you have her father being pretty heavy-handed in his life as a Latino or Hispanic or whatever he was saying, that, you know, it was hard on him and things hard on herself and him because she's come out as lesbian. I don't know. It's just heavy-handed. You know, there are ways to handle a subject like this without beating yourself over the head with it. I haven't learned how to do that yet on Supergirl for some reason. I don't know why, and I think it's to the detriment of the show because a lot of people, I know a lot of people have given up on Supergirl because of it. Back to just telling action stories, exciting stories from the comics, people back because it is a solid show with a great lead. But we can't keep going off on these flights of fancy for W topics, and it's just, you're alienating half of your viewing audience. I mean, Trump didn't get elected, no matter how much anybody wants it to be that way. The Russians electing him, and, you know, of America supports the president, and, you know, trying to just do this continual SJW thing where it's always all and keep us on. You know, nobody wants to hear that because they voted for Trump. They voted for Trump to build a wall. Too political. You know what side of the aisle I come down on, but I have to even be talking about it if they didn't make it so heavy-handed. Hopefully Supergirl will right the ship after this travesty of the Maggie, Alex, you know, finally goes by the wayside. And I guess it's going to break open for kids and Alex wanting to have kids. Kind of a lousy way to break them up, to be honest with you, because, to be honest, Maggie is not that endearing of a character. I mean, she has the sob story, and that's pretty much all she has to hang her hat on, but she doesn't seem like the kind of person you want to hang around with. And if she was straight and I was a potential thing, she doesn't seem like you know, a laugh a minute. She just seems to be a downer. Very approachable as a person. I don't know if it's just me that seems that way, that senses this from her, but don't feel anything for her as a character. And it's kind of hard to ask, you know, a lot of the audience to try to embrace her as an ongoing member of the show. I don't know. I'll give this one Supergirl. I give this one 3 stars out of 5. 3 stars out of 5. Pretty good, like I said, for Martian Manhunter fans. To see Supergirl, and as much as I like Martian Manhunter, and I'm glad they're giving him the spotlight, you know, once in a while, you know, we there, and she was sort of just the audience surrogate, so that when somebody said something that nobody understands unless you're deep into Martian Manhunter lore, she was the one to say, "What does that mean?" Her purpose was for most of the show, and then she gets to throw down a little bit at the end. But we are going to move on now. We are already over an hour here. Need to get going. All right, let's go next to The Gifted. Gifted. Let's see. Marcos went back to his ex, who was a mafia daughter, for help. Work for her. That was an interesting chain of events. Kind of felt that Marco was getting in over his head, is his code name, as I found out. John Proudstar wants his girlfriend Dreamer. Happened. As of yet, that subplot hasn't been resolved. She still thinks she's in love with Proudstar. His X-Men character name, it's Thunderheart or something. I keep forgetting, because when I say Thunderheart, I think of the isn't that his name, Lionheart? He does the Care Bear stare with the rest of them or something. I don't remember. I thought that was his name. Maybe is that Thunderheart? Is that his name? I don't know. Like I said, anybody in the comments, if you know who Thunderheart is, I mean, what John Proudstar is, let me know. All right, so as we got in the picture here, we've got the kids learn to combine powers, activate anger, sort of to harness his power. Andy really gives me a vibe of like Pyro. I think I said this before. It feels like if Magneto was here, he could really get his claws into him. And what I really hope will happen Magneto probably isn't going to be in the show, and I think we talked about that before. I'd really like to see Magneto in the show. Get her hooks on him because she's also kind of in that vein of and just mutant supremacy. She's I think a little bit more in that spirit. The jailbreak happened. They finally got the Strucker dad and Polaris out of lockup. Polaris, thanks to Strucker dad's on his knee. So I like how Polaris hesitated before taking the screw out Eric, who would have used it without a second thought. I mean, she's still kind of her, and she's still my favorite character. I really love her on the show, and it was a really good episode. And I like the way that Andy and there's sort of a brother sisterly relationship here. Like she knew how to push his buttons to get him to use like the anger to get his. It's pretty interesting. I mean, like I said, I like the dynamic between those two. I was told by somebody on Twitter that these two are actually in the comics, and they used to combine their powers in that way too. I didn't know that, so thanks for letting me in on that. I gotta that was, but yeah, that's so they're obviously going to grow up and become. I don't think they were X-Men. I think they were villains in the comics, so that's even more interesting to see if that's where they take them in the future. I'm going to give The Gifted this week. Let's see. 5, 4.5 stars out of 5. I don't have the Inhumans on tap. I tried to get the Inhumans. It's not coming up on demand. I'm learning how to use my Roku TV, and I can't figure out how to get it on Roku TV either because they don't let you for the first couple of days. I don't know. All right, we're going to go to our last show then now for today. This is Gotham, of course, Gotham. And quite frankly, don't have a lot to say about Gotham either because this was a filler episode, I felt. We have Professor Pig as the main villain here. If I remember correctly, he was on with Mr. Toad or something on Beware the Batman. That's how I'm familiar with the character. I don't know too much about Professor Pig, other than he kind of talks like a college professor. And in this case, he's apparently wearing a dead pig head that he hollowed out or something, which is pretty disgusting. This week kind of felt like a throwback to the seasons of Gotham where they had a lot of gross out stuff. And we got, decapitated pig heads and a grenade in the belly. Gross ways that Gotham was. I was kind of hoping they kept out of the season, but they went back to it here. Harvey getting his throat cut was a tense moment. That looked like the end, but I was concerned for a minute there. But I guess he didn't want to kill him. He just wanted to try to save his life. Harvey was on a take, not apparently a surprising thing. He was kind of on the take for Fish Mooney in the first season, right? But understandable given the situation he's in. Moral deficiencies as we do. The stuff with Professor Pig is apparently not over. Goody goody. I didn't particularly care for him. It was interesting to a point, and then I kind of wasn't that interested in it anymore. Riddler is managing Grundy's burgeoning cage fighting career, although I guess technically he's not a cage fighter, but you know what I mean. Ed wants help from Lee, and Lee pretty much through the whole episode is asking for help. Changes her mind when she sees that her clinic is not doing very well. And very interesting to see that the Riddler still can't make a joke of it that he can't put together a blackmailing scheme for Lee. What they're doing with the Riddler here, it's more funny to see him trying desperately to get back was when he was just basically, scheming and trying to continually put one over on somebody. Penguin is still doing the dance with Sophia. He's, doesn't trust her, and then when the least little thing happens, he doesn't trust her and confronts her, and the, Boo Boo Kitty routine where she's like, you don't trust me, how could you not trust me, I'm trying to be a friend, and this and that. I don't have a problem with it, but, it's like just the typical stuff. They're trying to show that gradually the Penguin trusting her. He's not going to just do it in 2 episodes. He's usually sitting down at the table with salad, and he was funny. He was great. Like I said, sort of a filler episode, very bare bones. No Bruce, no Alfred, no Selena, no Ivy. Where's Ivy been? She was taking some kind of juice or something, and then Roz, I think, is out of it for a while, which is probably the best. No Babs or Tabitha. Last time we've seen Tabitha either. I mean, we haven't seen Babs too much lately, but Tabitha's missing in action. I mentioned last week, but they haven't glossed over the fact that and back as Grundy. That's pretty interesting. For this, swamp goo or whatever it was that he found himself in. I'm going to give Gotham this week. I'm going to give it 2.5 stars out of 5. It's just a filler episode. I mean, I can't really see myself wanting to go back and see this one. I mean, all season they've been good, and I've been like, yeah. This one really didn't feel like they accomplished a whole lot. Just advanced the subplot with the Riddler a little bit. That's about it. So 2.5 stars out of 5 for Gotham this week. All right, so I think we're pretty much done. Said, in case you skipped around there, no Inhumans. I didn't get a chance to see it yet this week. Dale's still behind on MacGyver, so I'll probably do a segment on those whenever I get caught up. Yeah, that should do it. So thank you once again for joining me for another Torch News Roundup. And Johnnie Torch Live, number 27, where we recounted this week television. Next week on The Only Way to Spend Your Saturday here with us. And until next time, I will try to see if I can do a show maybe Monday. I don't really think it's going to happen. So if I don't see you before then, happy Halloween, one and all. The holiday, and drive safe because there are kids out there on the street. Let's be careful out there. What was that from? Hill Street Blues? I watched it because, well, I was 6 years old at the time. I was more interested in, the A-Team and stuff like that. So until next time, this is Johnnie Torch reminding you once again, brightly, and I'll be with you again real soon.